Hello, friends. Welcome back to our channel where we share with you inspiring stories of all times and from all over the world. And today we have a story about promises. Promises are the basis of trust between people. We can't live without them. However, sometimes they turn out to be mere words, empty and hollow. After all, no one is immune from letting people down. The main thing is to try not to make empty promises, especially to loved ones. But our heroes will have to learn this truth the hard way. Once upon a time in a small town, there lived two young men who were the best of friends. They did everything together, and their friendship was an example for everyone else. The guys helped each other in difficult situations and always shared their joy with each other. A few years passed like this, and one of the young men, let's call him Arthur, had an idea to take his life to the next level. He wanted to go to the capital city and become famous. "I want to conquer the whole world," he said to his friend. The friend only nodded, not knowing what to say. He understood perfectly well that such a city would swallow up his buddy, but he didn't know how to convince him otherwise. So the friend just wished his pal all the best. And when the time came for Arthur to leave, he promised his friend, "If I succeed, I won't forget about you. You will be the first to know about it." The friend only smiled in response. He saw through Arthur, but he never tried to persuade him to stay because he knew that it was useless. Arthur packed his things and left for the city. Several months passed, and one day the friend received a letter from him. The guy invited his chum to visit him, bragging about how great his life had become and how he was living far better than his friend in the provinces. The friend wasn't intimidated by the boasting, and he decided to pay his pal a surprise visit. He took the train to the capital city, went to the address listed in the letter, and rang the doorbell. It was a huge house with high walls and iron gates. A woman opened the door, and after making sure it was really Arthur's friend, she invited him in and offered him to sit down. Then she brought him some tea, and they started chatting. The friend tried to find out how Arthur was doing, but the woman kept dodging the question, saying something along the lines of, "Oh, your friend is so busy now. He has no time for nonsense. I don't know when he'll be free." The friend was already suspecting that something was wrong, and he insisted on speaking to Arthur himself. At that moment, the woman suddenly got very nervous. She started looking around in a panic, trying to think of some plausible excuse. "I'm sorry, but I can't let you see him. You see, he's no longer the same person. He's changed a lot. You wouldn't even recognize him." The friend felt something was off, but he still tried to make her change her mind. However, the woman stood firm and even called the police. When the officers arrived, they told the friend that they had no right to keep him on the premises and ordered him to leave. Once he was outside, the friend noticed that all the windows on that street were tinted, and when he looked through them, he could make out silhouettes of people inside, people who looked miserable and haggard. At that point, the friend realized that his buddy wasn't doing well at all. Arthur had probably fallen for the trap of show business. All the friend could do now was to go back home and wait for his friend to write. This is exactly what he did, although several years passed before he received the next letter. When the friend finally got it, he was already married and working at that point. His wife read the letter and burst into tears. The friend asked what was wrong, and she handed him the letter. The friend couldn't believe his eyes. It was Arthur asking him for money. He wrote that he was having a hard time and needed financial help. The friend didn't hesitate for a second. He immediately gave his wife some cash and went to the post office. He wanted to send the money to his friend as soon as possible. However, when the clerk found the address on the envelope, he said that it was invalid and suggested checking the spelling. When the friend began reading the address out loud, he noticed that it was his own address. It dawned on him that his friend had written the letter to him asking for money. But then he deliberately changed the address and sent it to his own home. At that moment, the friend understood everything. Arthur wanted to get his hands on his money. But why? Why did he need his money? The friend returned home and asked his wife to give him some more cash. He gave the clerk the money and instructed him to transfer it to the person whose name was written on that envelope. "Wait a minute," the clerk said. "Isn't this your friend?" "Yes," replied the friend. "Well, then I have to tell you that he's been here several times already. He even stayed in the hotel across the street. And every time he comes, he asks me to hand over the letter to you. I tell him that you're not here, and he leaves disappointed." At that point, the friend realized what kind of person his buddy had become. Now, all these years, Arthur had been writing letters to him and had been coming to see him, but the friend had no idea. He had been living just across the street all this time. But why did Arthur behave this way? What did he expect from him? The friend immediately went to the hotel across the street, but Arthur was gone. All the guy found there was a pile of empty envelopes with the friend's address on them. At that moment, the friend understood that his friend was dangerous. He was a manipulator who used people to achieve his goals. No wonder the woman had said that Arthur wasn't the same person anymore. He had indeed changed a lot. The friend threw away those letters and never contacted Arthur again. Perhaps he hoped that the friend would pity him or give him some money. Maybe he thought their friendship meant something, but Arthur was wrong. Their friendship had died a long time ago. In fact, it had died when Arthur left for the city. As for the friend, he continued living his quiet and simple life. He worked, then retired and spent his old age with his wife, remembering the time when he had a real friend. They say you should always be careful when promising something to someone. If you don't intend to keep your word, it's better not to make any promises at all. If you think that someday it might come in handy, it's better to say nothing. There are many cases in life when people regret making promises. After all, they can be a boomerang. One day they may return to their owner, and then it will be too late to hide. And that's all for today. And if you like this story, please give us a like and subscribe. Also check out our other videos, which we know you'll love just as much. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye.